Virginia and the U.S. Hot Rod Association Mud Bog Drag Racing Spectacular and Battle of the Monster Trucks. I'm Larry Huffman. Calling the action with me, Margot King. A class tonight that a lot of people have showed up for, and it's a sold-out capacity crowd here at the Richmond Coliseum, is the Battle of the Monster Trucks, the most famous monster truck of all time, Bigfoot, with Barefoot, taking on Barefoot, and a new class they call them Monster Tanks. And they are World War II tanks that have truck bodies welded on the top, supercharged engines. They weigh 18 tons. The first time they met at the New Orleans Superdome, Bigfoot won by 3 or 4 inches, and Bob Chandler, the owner, says this ain't fair. These things go through cars, not over them. Margot, what else tonight?
After the monster trucks, we'll be seeing those funny cars drag racing in the mud. 2 classes, the tractor class with over 44-inch size tires.
Big ones.
And the open modified class, trucks with under 44-inch tires.
It's going to be wild, so don't go away. We'll be right back. For all you women who've taken abuse over the years as women drivers, Margot King has the ultimate solution. Good heavens!
I just had the thrill of my life getting an opportunity to drive the Virginia Beach Beast, the Chevy truck in the tank truck competition. My KATZ the real driver. These things look a little heavy. Are they dangerous to drive?
Not too bad. If it did ever roll over, though, it would be kind of fatal to somebody inside.
Oh, sounds a little dangerous to me. Maybe I wouldn't have been so anxious to drive it. I think Larry's over with his competition right now.
And this is the Ford equivalent to the Virginia Beach Beast Chevy. This is Car Killer, owned by Butch Lowe of West Palm Beach, Florida. How did you get the idea to build something like this?
Well, we come up with it for hunting deer in the Everglades, running the Everglades in South Florida, and we just basically build this to competition with the monster trucks.
And you can run over the cars.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
You've got a mid-engine big-bore Ford in it, huh?
The engine's in the rear and all the pull drains in the front end.
How much horsepower?
About 800.
Unbelievable. How will you do against the Chevrolet competition?
Well, I don't like Chevrolets, and I'm going to give it my best shot.
And we're set. A capacity crowd here at the Richmond Coliseum. And there he goes, and he hits the first car. Bam! Look out! Holy Toledo over him, swinging around, no steering wheel. He's got the treads and almost goes over, Margot.
Oh, that 1-inch constant traction and almost flipped over.
Comes around and hits that left-hand turn, the finish line, and we'll get the clocking on that for the Car Killer. There it is, looking at it again. Look at, he actually gets airborne, Margot. You can see air underneath, and look at him slam into the final car. The clocking for Car Killer, 14.57 seconds. For Car Killer, and here's the Virginia Beach Beast. It's a Chevy Blazer, 18-ton, 1941 military tank, a blown 454 Chevy, 2 Predator carburetors, and here we go. He hits it. Look out. Up and over. He gets airborne and slams into the last one again and flattens it like a pancake. Comes around, stays a little more up, but the rear end swings out. Margot, that's going to cost him time.
They can really pivot, and don't be looking for a steering wheel in those trucks. They run completely on lever. Stopping and starting steers those trucks.
That's right, with those tracks. Okay, the Virginia Beach Beast. Here it is in slow motion. Here he comes up again. And the clocking, a better time. No, not a better time. 15:54 for the Virginia Beach Beast. And he did not equal the time of the Car Killer, 14:57. And here is Barefoot, ladies and gentlemen. Out of Granite City, Illinois, Fred SHAFER, the owner and the driver, a 1986 Chevrolet Silverado with a 500 cubic inch Chevy engine. The killer tanks have already gone over the cars. They have flattened them. Now the best time, let's see if they can beat it. Car Killer, 14:57. And here comes Barefoot up, lining up and getting set for the start.
Now maybe I ought to explain how come he owns a bear. It's because they're game breeders. They have bears, deers, and peacocks that they raise at their home.
And here we go. This is Barefoot, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to try to beat a 14:57. These guys are proud. They really are. They don't like to see the monster tanks beat their time. And here we go. Barefoot on the gas. Slams into the first one up in the air. All 4 wheels off the ground. Parts of the car spewing. Holy Toledo, he comes around, and this is a crucial part. The turn on the dirt, he can spin all the way out. Slows down, gasses it, heads for the back. Look at the 4-wheel steering, heading for the finish line. A good run by Barefoot, Margot King.
A good run. He did run into a little bit of trouble at the end of the track where those Army tank treads had torn up the track.
Let's look at it again. Almost straight up and down. The front wheels in the air. Back wheels stay mostly on those cars. A 13:27 clocking for Barefoot. That is a second and a half faster than Car Killer. And now the most famous truck of all. And here comes Bigfoot, and the crowd responds here at the Richmond Coliseum. Bigfoot Ford Power comes out. Around takes a pre-race lap to let the crowd show it. They let the crowd see it, rather. Rich HOOSER of St. Louis, the driver, his mother, Joan, is here tonight, who rode with him one time while he was crushing a car. And she says, I'd love to do it again. She's here from North Carolina watching him.
Now, you can bet Rich is interested in beating that Chevy's time around this track.
No question about that. He's got to beat a 13:27. Rich HOOSER, 28 years old. He is out of St. Louis. And here we go. Here's the start. Let's see what Bigfoot can do. We are ready to go. And he gasses it and hits those cars up in the air. All four wheels over there in the air. Look at this now, bouncing sideways. That's going to cost him time. Now the very crucial left-hand turn, comes around, swings that rear end out, and gasses it toward the finish line. Looked good to me, Margot.
Looked like an Evel Knievel jump over those cars.
Wait for the clocking. The time, 13:27 by Barefoot. Let's see, there's a slow motion. Look at all four wheels in the air. And the clocking of Bigfoot, 13 seconds, .17. So he beat Barefoot by 1/10 of a second. 13:17 versus 13:27, exactly 1/10 of a second faster. And Bigfoot is the winner tonight here at the Richmond Coliseum. Welcome back to the Richmond Coliseum. I'm Larry Huffman along with Margot King. Okay, an interesting battle now. The driver of the Car Killer, Butch Lowe, has said this is not fair. I want a rematch. I want to go up against Bigfoot. This happened at the New Orleans Superdome, and Bigfoot won side by side. We don't have the room here at the Richmond Coliseum to go side by side, but they are going to go against each other for time. And Bigfoot at New Orleans won by about 3 to 6 inches. So Lowe, of the Car Killer driver, says this is not fair. I had to go over the intact cars. I had to go over the top of them. There he is getting set now, getting buckled in. I want a rematch, and I want to smoke Bigfoot. And Bob Chandler, the owner of Bigfoot, said, okay, we will do it. And he told Rich HOOSER, the driver, says, go out and smoke that tank, that weird-looking tank.
Well, this truck is not hurting for gears. It's got 9 forward gears plus a reverse.
Let's see what he does. Here's a start. Off the line and goes right in the first one, gets up in the air, slams down the back, and then flattens it to about 6 inches. Comes up here, slides. Look at him slide. Looks like a speedway bike going sideways. Gets traction, comes down. There's a ground level look at it. Get out of the way, cameraman. Whoa! He went through there like, you'll pardon the expression, Sherman through Georgia. That's probably what I should not say in Richmond, Virginia, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is again. Good start. Notice how flat the cars are. This is not how he went through the first time. He had to go up a lot higher, Margot. And the clocking of 14:84, the second run, still not as good as Bigfoot's initial run. And here comes Bigfoot. Rich HOOSER, HOOSER, 28 years old, out of St. Louis, has been driving 4 years. 1987 Ford F-250 pickup, 540 cubic inch Ford V8. He comes up on the line. He's got to beat 1484. And the cars are flatter than they were before. Here they come. Up to the first. Whoa! He gets way in the air and almost leaps. The front wheels didn't even touch the last 2 cars. He got airborne. Comes back around, the rear wheels steering down the back straightaway. This guy is going for the goal, Margot King. And I think he's got it. We'll get the clocking on Bigfoot. Bob and Marilyn Chandler, the owners, let's look again at it. Watch the front wheels. They come completely up in the air and then miss the last 2 cars. Look at the drive he's got. And he comes all the way over. He is totally airborne. Comes down. Beautiful camera work by our camera crew. Barely kisses the fender, lands on the ground, bounces up again in the air, and comes back down. We've got a 6 on the Richter scale. And he beats Car Killer by 5/100ths of a second, 1479 to 1484, and Bigfoot's record is intact. And the Car Killer Virginia Beach Beast people have to go home with their tails between their legs. This is the WRXL-FM Dash for Cash Mud Marathon. And this is a local rock station here in Richmond, WRXL-FM. Here they come. There's the chauffeur, the chauffeurette. And here are the disc jockeys, and the crowd is cheering. Ah, yes. And these are listeners to this local rock station in Richmond, and they have qualified for a chance to race blindfolded through the mud, carrying a balloon under each arm, and the winner that crosses the mud bog and crosses that silver line, the first one that goes through there with both balloons intact under their arms, wins $500. And Margot, that's a tough way to make $500.
Especially when you're barefoot and you're not quite sure what's in that mud and muck.
That's right. Okay, here we go. The WRXL-FM Dash for Cash Mud Marathon. Now, they are blindfolded. They can't see at all. They know the mud is right in front of them. The girls are their girlfriends, and they are going to attempt to yell instructions to them. If they drop a balloon, they've got to grope around in the mud, pick it back up, put it under their armpit, under their arm, and make it across the line. There they go. They're into the mud. They're trying to make it across, and one has already made it across. He is up. Now another one is down. They're getting up, and they've dropped their balloons. They go back into the mud, picking up their balloons. Now they're being called to by their coaches on where they've dropped their balloons, and they're still blindfolded, back and forth. Look at this. Can you believe this? And this guy is, I think, either she's crazy or he's won. And here's the winner. Here is a man who just won $500 for making a fool out of himself in front of 15,000 people. And here is a guy who didn't win, and he finally takes his blindfold off. There's $100, $200, $300, $400, $500. The winner, and he grabs the disc jockey and hugs him. And the disc jockey has mud all over his rented tuxedo. Oh, look at that. And the driver's saying, "You're not going to touch that car. You're not getting back in that car. I got to clean that thing." Oh, she's saying, what on... We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Richmond Coliseum after these messages don't go away. We're back at the Richmond Coliseum. Larry Huffman and Margot King calling the action, and these are the Mudboggers. Under 44-inch modified, and Margot, this is Run What You Brung. That is Dr. WACKO. It's a 1975 Toyota, believe it or not. And it is a monster 750 horsepower Toyota. Look at this thing. Let's talk sophistication, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. WACKO, Maryland. Here he goes. Into the mud bog, gliding across the water, and he is... stopped. Almost makes it through, but not quite. Dr. WACKO stops.
Fooled me. I thought he had it.
Looked like... Well, let's see now. Let's check this out. It looks like he may have got the first part of the bike past the finish line. Let's wait for the ruling of Dr. WACKO. Take another look at it, slow motion. Maybe you can see just exactly how far he goes. Look at that. The wheels spewing up monster rooster tails, hits the water, comes back up again. Now remember, the bog gets deeper as he goes toward the other end. But he is manhandling that machine, trying to keep the front end pointed in a relatively straight direction. And it is a full run. He makes it in 3.15 seconds. Just gets across that finish line. 3.15 for Dr. WACKO. This is an actual funny car mudbogger, Magnum Force, out of Lowman, Missouri. The Fisher brothers, Curt and Perry Fisher. This is a 1,750 horsepower mudbog 454 blown alcohol injected machine. $100,000, a super stock Chevy truck that raced throughout Missouri for 3 years. These guys are serious. This is an unlimited machine, which means there's really no limitation to the engine, right?
That's right, Larry. We come in with an alcohol-injected blower machine generating between 1,400 and 1,800 horsepower.
And what kind of a transmission?
Transmission is a 400 turbo transmission. We do something unique in that we use an air shifter. On the steering wheel, we actually have a button. And rather than take your hand off when you're going 60, 70, 100 miles an hour to shift, we actually just push the button and the air shifter does it for us.
It's pretty fast.
Pretty fast, absolutely.
It's incredible. It's a funny car.
It truly is a funny car, simply four-wheel drive, running in mud rather than on asphalt.
And you are undefeated in SRO competition.
That's right. We hope to keep that string going tonight, folks.
A specially designed frame. These guys key in on making their truck work. They want to get the power in that truck.
And he's got it. He's going sideways. Plunkett and Gold throw that mud up in the air, and he stops. It is a full run for Magnum Force. Curt and Perry Fisher, the owners of Lowman, Missouri. And holy Toledo, it was awesome. The crowd on the edge of their seat here at the Richmond Coliseum.
You better not blink or you miss that
well,
one.
I'm telling you, he was on the gas. He flew through that. Let's take another look at it in slow motion, and then we'll give you the time. Look at him, right off the line. It is putting so much horsepower to those rear wheels, he's starting to slide all over the front. Unbelievable. I think we've got a new record here. Magnum Force, a funny car mud bogger. Look at him come through there, and wham, he slams on the binders, and his clocking, a 3.05 second clocking. That's faster than Dr. WACKO, 3.05. Woo! This is Dreamweaver. Margot, an interesting background on this truck.
Warren Weaver out of New Cumberland, Pennsylvania, and hence the name Dreamweaver. It's a 3/4 ton pickup.
It's a 77 Chevy 3/4 ton pickup. And this guy started doing this after he came to a mud bog. Let's see what he can do. Dreamweaver out of New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. 4,000 pounds, only 400 horsepower. He's lightened it a lot. Let's see what happens. He comes off the line a lot slower, but puts up the mud and the blood and the beer. And he's trying to make it, but we got a problem. He is stuck, and I don't think he made it. A real heavy truck and not a lot of horsepower. Not when you're talking about Magnum Force, 1,700 horse, 1,750 horsepower. He's got 400, and that's a problem right there. It's a street vehicle that he took and changed into a mud bog. He took out a lot of metal off that.
I don't know how much Warren weighs.
Let's take another look at it right now. He comes off the line. Now look, notice the front end drops in real deep. Margot, that's a problem.
Right. They've really got to get those trucks planing high to make those good runs. And when your front end's digging in that hard, it's trying to make it's like putting on the brakes.
That's right. The front end into the mud, and he did not, I don't believe he made a full run. Let's watch now. Dreamweaver, New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. 77 Chevy 3/4 ton. And he does not make a full run. It's a 75-foot mark right there. He's just going past that. It's now slowing way down. About 78, 79 feet, 80 feet. And this should just about do it. Look at those wheels spin front and rear, and that's it. 81 feet, 5.5 inches. This is the Dirty Dog, and you can see the reason for that name sitting in the passenger seat, Margot. What is that?
Well, Jim Fuddy out of Baltimore, Maryland, took a trip down to Disney World, picked up Pluto, and has brought him back to be his mascot in his Dirty Dog truck.
So that's a stuffed dog sitting in the passenger seat, no helmet, but he's belted in.
He is belted in, yes. It's very critical that he's belted in.
71 Bronco with a big engine, Margot.
This gentleman is the president of Team Crazy out of Joplin, Maryland. That's his real claim to fame, he says. And there's a great shot of Pluto and Jim there.
It's a 429 Super Cobra, putting out about 650 horsepower, 429 cubic inch Super Cobra Ford engine in a 71 Bronco. And there he goes, getting sideways in the beginning. But look at the mud come up, and he's going for the end. Slowing down now. Whoa, they slow down so fast when they start digging in, and the weight starts working against them. 650 horsepower, and that's it. Let's find out if it is a full run. I'm not sure.
There's some serious smoke coming out of that motor. I hope it's just where that watery mud has slapped up against those exhaust pipes.
I hope so, too. Let's take another look at it. Gets off the line, then the front end drops in, and as you mentioned earlier, Margot, that's where the problems begin, because the front end digs in, and suddenly like you put the front brakes on.
And with that shorter wheelbase, he's got to be at a little bit of a disadvantage. But the red flag doesn't come out until that forward motion completely stops.
That's right. And let's see if he makes it to the end. I don't think he did. The Dirty Dog. He makes it in 13.45 seconds. 10 seconds, almost 10.5 seconds slower than Magnum Force. He makes it. And there goes the engine, ladies and gentlemen. That was just about a $3,000 engine that just went south. We'll be right back for more exciting mud bog action from the Richmond Coliseum in just a few moments. Welcome back to the Richmond Coliseum. I'm Larry Huffman along with Margot King. And this is Power Pro, a beautiful white machine. It's a 1987 Pro Stock CJ7 Jeep, powered by a 406 cubic inch Chevy, but it's injected on alcohol with nitrous oxide. He is running a Power Glide 2-speed transmission, real low weight, 2,000 pounds, 750 horsepower, valued at over $25,000.
The Power Pro Corporation, which the name of this vehicle is also an operation that makes specialized drag racing frames for these buggies. This year, he says he's made 30 of these vehicles.
Mike Newby of Dayton, Ohio, 27 years old, the owner and driver of Power Pro, a Jeep CJ7 with a very, very potent small block Chevrolet. They've extended the wheelbase. Look at how low it is. Roll cage. Here he goes. Comes in, keeps those front wheels up, and he's got a full run. And fire coming out of the engine. Whoa, and the crowd responds. A big belch of fire, of yellow flame comes out of that engine, and I don't know if he blew that engine or not. But Newby makes it through, and the flash bulbs are coming off. In about 2 seconds, that thing has gone from a beautiful, pristine white car, and so covered with mud. Let's take a look back at the start. The Power Pro machine. Margot, a good start.
He gets a great launch off the platform, and he digs in a little bit there. He starts to get his rear wheels hooking up, planing the front end up, and he's got a good drive going. He's making excellent time, and it's not long before we're going to see those flames coming out of those carburetor filters right on the top of that hood.
There's some smoke coming out now. Now watch the carburetors on the left. More smoke coming out of them. We should see the flame any moment, indicating, I'm not sure if he's eating an engine or what, Margot. There are a lot of smoke coming out now out of those carburetors. And there it is, and something comes out. That exploded, Margot.
I'm talking
grenaded.
8 K&N filters getting launched.
Whoa! And he keeps the throttle buried and makes it through at a 2:26 clocking for the Power Pro, a new elapsed ET record. A 1932 Ford Victoria after hours, powered by a 432 cubic inch blown injected supercharged Chevy engine. This set a world record for an indoor open class paddle tire mud bog. In an 80-foot track recently, he turned 1.70 seconds. After hours, Vic Yarnelli, 36 years old, out of St. Louisville, Ohio, a 32 Ford Vicky, and this one is one of the favorites.
He used to be a construction worker. Now he makes a living racing mud bogs.
Look at those monster tires on the back. Groundhogs, cut 40. The front tires are snow and mud tires. He has turned 1.7 seconds before on a track exactly this length. Here he goes. Whoa, mama! He is sideways through the mud and shuts it off. Look at that thing. And I don't think he made it all the way. He gets sideways and digs those wheels in. Four-wheel drive. You can see him spewing up mud. After hours has turned a 1.70 second clocking. Let's take another look at it. Front wheels dig in, Margot. That could have been where the problem began.
Standard automotive tires on the front wheel of this vehicle, and they're planed up good there, and he has got the power on. Doesn't look like he's got a bit of problem when all of a sudden he disappears behind a wall of water.
He starts to make a sharp left-hand turn, and he did not make it. Did not make it across the finish line. The crowd not happy about that. So after hours, a foot and a half short of a full run, and we think he may have lost an engine. A tough break. Well, there is our man out there on the track trying to get his glasses clean, and you can look that he should be getting hazardous pay, Margot, for this. This is Budweiser going for broke out of Felton, Pennsylvania. Todd Schenk, 27 years old, and an interesting machine. It's a 1947 CJ2A Jeep, powered by an AMC 390 cubic inch tunnel ram engine. He's running a turbo 400 3-speed automatic, and he is the owner of he's a brewery products distributor in York, Pennsylvania. Sponsored also by Dealing Dave's Speed Shop. A 1947 Jeep powered by an AMC 390 engine. Let's see what he can do. Extended wheelbase. You can see the fuel tank right on the extreme front of the machine. And look at those monster tires. And there they go. And he is sideways through the mud, the blood, and the beer. And he's all the way through. Woo! That boy flat got it on, Margot King.
And he got covered to boot.
He's trying to get it off right now. Whoa, he really got on the gas and launched a beautiful launch. And really sideways there at the end. I think we're going to take a look at it now in slow-mo.
There's a great shot. We rarely get to see these good-looking drivers.
He's nodding. He seems to be real happy. I don't think he could see anything there at the end, Margot. The face shield in that full face helmet was covered with mud. Let's take another look at the start. Here's the slow motion.
And you can see the disadvantage. The further on in the program these guys get to run, the wetter that starting platform gets, but it didn't seem to affect his performance in this one, Larry.
Small block AMC 390 cubic inch engine. He's got the horsepower, and he's got a real light chassis, 2,500 pounds on the body. Going through, and you can see the right there in the back, the safety chain hooked up to him to keep him from going into the wall. Oh, he is just flat on it. Now it gets a little bit sideways here toward the end. Ooh, digs way up, and the front wheels come up in the air, and he comes out of that mud pit and slams on the binders. The clocking for Budweiser going for broke, 4 seconds flat. This is the Bud Light Special out of Parkersburg, West Virginia. And this guy is a full-on professional. This is what he does for a living. It's an 87 Power Pro racing chassis powered by a 509 Chevy Power Glide automatic. An interesting thing about the engine, Margot King.
He claims it's got 1,300 horsepower, 800 that the engine produces, and he gets 500 more from a nitrous boost.
So 1,300 horsepower on this $35,000 87 Power Pro racing chassis modified Bud Light machine.
And with a paint job that should be on a boat. What a razzle-dazzle paint job.
Team Power Pro and sponsored by Bud Light. There's the safety strap on the right. One of the favorites. 2,180 pounds, 1,300 horsepower. There he goes. And he is just holding on for dear life. And it's an E-coupon ride, and he almost heads out. And apparently the strap broke. The safety strap broke. And the ground crew, they're okay except for their underwear. Whoa, he lost the safety strap and almost went outside the building. He's saying, wait a minute, I had nothing to do with that. And the crowd loved it. He almost hit that wall. Let's take another look at it. Good launch, Margot.
Hardly had time to even breathe through this one. Just an incredible launch. His wheels stay planed out the entire run, Larry. It's just a magnificent performance. That was just a perfect run.
It was 13, except for this safety strap breaking, 1,300 horsepower. It's the first time I've seen that happen. 2,180 pounds add up to an incredible time. We're going to get it in just a second. Slow motion, look at it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now he's trying to slow down, and he can't. The momentum is carrying him out of that thing and is rock and roll racing, and he realizes he's got a problem, and the strap is just broken. You can see it there hanging out the back. And he is heading for Richmond, Virginia downtown right now. Absolutely,
and his wheels were locked up from the moment he crossed that plane, but it didn't work. It sure didn't stop him.
So Rod Haverty of Parkersburg, West Virginia. We are still waiting for the time on the Bud Light Special. And here it is, and he just turned the fastest time of the night. 1.59 seconds. Whoa, 1.59 seconds for the Bud Light Special. This is called the Mudaholic. It is a 1974 Vega with a big blown on alcohol. I checked that. A Hillborn injected on alcohol Chevy engine, 454 cubic inches.
And Chuck Brown has probably got to be the local favorite. Sandston, Virginia, right down the road, right by the airport, 30 years old. The crowd's got to be yelling for him, Larry.
74 Vega weighing 2,895 pounds. He's putting out just around 750 horsepower. And you mentioned earlier the stacks there on the front of the machine.
Little flapper valves,
yeah. Little flapper valves on the top. This is Mudaholic. It's a 74 Vega, and there he goes. Getting a little sideways, getting crossed up a little bit, making it through. He goes all the way through and powers out of the bog. And there's the flappers there in the front. A crowd cheering him on. Takes the helmet off. Look at that. You've never seen a Vega go that fast.
I said, why did you pick a Vega body, you know, being my favorite car, you know? And he says, well, somebody gave it to me.
He welds and works on the heavy equipment for interstate construction. There's a slow motion. Let's take a look at it back. Wrestling that wheel. Look at him manhandle that wheel back and forth, trying to figure out where the front end's going to go before it gets there. Boy, he is bouncing. Got a lot of power. Lightweight chassis and lightweight body there, Margot.
Great run.
Good run.
Vega.
3.44 seconds. That puts him in about 5th place overall, roughly, and that's unofficial. But that's not a bad run for the Mudaholic. We'll be back in just a few moments to the Richmond Coliseum with more mud bog drag racing action. Don't go away. Back to the U.S. Hot Rod Association Mud Bog Drag Racing Spectacular here at the Richmond Coliseum. Larry Huffman and Margot King calling the action for you. It's called the Executioner. It's owned by Preston Ward. It's a modified 1979 CJ7 Jeep with a 390 cubic inch AMC engine, running a single Predator carburetor. He is running with nitrous oxide. 3.5-ton axles, 500 horsepower. Margot King, background on this guy.
The owner of this vehicle, Matt Ward, 15 years old. Who's driving? His dad. And as soon as Matt turns 16, it'll be his Jeep to drive.
And he maintains the vehicle now. It's a modified 79 CJ7 Jeep. It's called the Execution. Look at the wide wheelbase on that machine.
But until Matt's 16, he's the main mechanic.
We should say extended wheels on both sides. And here he comes down the line and launches off the line. The Executioner, both stacks, belching fire and smoke. And he makes it all the way through and powers out of the other end. Oh, and again, we've broken the tow strap. Look at that. That's the second time tonight. I've never seen that happen before, Margot. That is interesting. The tow strap snaps. The power these machines are putting out is absolutely awesome. The clocking, 4.4 seconds flat for the Executioner. Let's take a look back at the Executioner slow-mo. A good launch for him. Got it under control. The front wheels up in the air on the top. Now dropping down just a little bit. Keeps it going. Wrestling that wheel. He's waiting for the safety strap to hold him, to slow him down. He gets all the way through. And the strap breaks. And ho, that's a surprise for Mr. Preston Ward. No problems. He makes it all the way through. Beautiful run. The machine is called Littlefoot. It's out of Parsippany, New Jersey. Jim Crownover, 22 years old. It's a Ford F-150 with a 454 Monster Chevy engine. Standard transmission, putting out about 700 horsepower, but weighs, it's a big one. It's 5,800 pounds, Margot.
Jim started an off-road competition just locally, but wanted to be more competitive, so he joined the circuit.
Well, he is on the line now. This is called Littlefoot. No relation to Bigfoot, and here he comes off the line, getting a little sideways there in the beginning. The rear wheels grabbing traction, heading toward the end, slowing way down, still putting out the power, but he's going to have a real slow run. The mud getting deeper and deeper, but he makes it all the way through. Littlefoot.
He just plowed through.
Ford, powered by a big block Monster Chevy motor. I had one of those one time in a 66 Corvette. Here we go. Let's take a look at it in slow motion. Front end drops down. Again, it's almost 3 tons. Very, very heavy. Front end's dropping. Now the rear wheels drop down. Look at the flash bulbs go off. This big Ford, powered by a Chevy. Now slowing way down. Look at the mud that is building up on the wheels there, Margot, in front. He's pushing just literally hundreds of pounds of mud.
3,000 pounds heavier than his competitors.
9.58 seconds for the Littlefoot Ford. This is called Hyperactive. It's a modified machine out of Denville, New Jersey. Peter Anderson, and there he goes, and he gets sideways. Chevy Love pickup. Going slewing back and forth. Look at how deep the mud is getting at the other end. He is making it through. It looks like a full run, but it's certainly nothing to write home about. And he powers his way out of the other end, and I think we may have lost another tow. Yes, we broke the 3rd tow strap tonight. It's a Chevy Love pickup, a 74 with a small block Chevy and a turbo 400 automatic transmission. Take a look at it. Margot, he gets sideways right in the beginning, and that's kind of slows him way down.
Yeah, he had to do some serious driving out of this bog, and he had to make sure he did not get too far over to the edge, because that would be an immediate disqualification if he got even close to that dry borderline there.
The clocking, 10.40 seconds. We had to use a sundial for that clocking. Took so long. He had a problem getting through the mud. He does get all the way through, however. Hyperactive, Peter Anderson of Denville, New Jersey. So the finish, Bud Light takes home the bacon with a 1.59 clocking. Power Pro is second, 226. Magnum Force, the funny car that came out third, 305. Dr. WACKO, 315. And Mudaholic rounds out the top 5 with a clocking of 3.44 seconds. We'll be back to more action from the Richmond Coliseum right after these messages. Welcome back to the sold-out Richmond Coliseum, and this is the tractor tire class, and this is Rodney Covington of Sykesville, Maryland, in the Mud Rat. It's a 76 Chevy Love with a big 454 modified Chevy engine. He has run this vehicle 7 times. He has won 4, was second twice, and third once. So he has never failed to finish in the money.
And talk about an ego. He sends a warning out to the cameramen that they better keep the camera ahead of his truck, because everyone else has tried to film him, has missed him. He's so fast.
He's so fast. Well, Rodney, let's see what you can do. This is the Mud Rat. tractor tires, and here he goes. Whoa, he's on top of the mud and makes it through, all the way through, and looks like he may have broken a strap. Holy Toledo, the mud rat was living, yes, again, the safety strap breaks, and the mud rat almost ends up in downtown Richmond. Let's watch the start again in slow motion. Manages to get a good start, Margot, and stays up on top of the mud.
You can see how great these tractor tires really work. He got a great launch, stayed planed up almost right to the finish line, and then explosion when it comes to that strap.
Yep, and comes up off out of the mud and clocks a 2.59 second run through the mud for the mud rat. 2.59. This is Old Granddad. Now, the name was given to this gentleman, Jimmy Hall, by his grandchildren. And 3 weeks ago, it was a Vega funny car. He crashed it, flipped it, and converted it to a mud bog machine. Old Granddad, Jimmy Hall, out of Crisfield, Maryland. He's been 20 years in the Air Force. It's a 1946 Dodge with a big block 454 Chevy. Turbo 400 3-speed automatic. Gave the name, and it's for sale. The name was given by his grandchildren, Matt, Ryan, and Chris. And here he goes, Old Granddad. He is, look at him wrestling that wheel, and he makes it all the way through with a tractor tire special, Old Granddad. The crowd responded. They like this guy, Margo.
Man, if it's for sale, it was a pretty good showing. Maybe you'll get a few calls.
He says he wants $6,500 for it, and he's got more than that in the engine. He's got about $12,000 in the machine. Here's a slow motion replay of that. Comes up, the rear tractor wheels dig in, the front wheel comes up in the air, and he is through the traps.
When you think about it, it's a great life for a tractor tire. Hardly anywhere at all in this mud.
No question. 3.34 seconds for Old Granddad. That's hauling the bacon. This is called Mud Devil, M-U-D-E-V-I-L. Harry White, 42 years old, out of Pocomoke, Maryland. It's a 1980 Chevy with a big 454 modified Chevy engine, bored out to 460 cubic inches. 3 tons this machine weighs. It's valued at over $15,000. This is his second mud race, Mud Devil.
Great paint job.
Beautiful paint job, 650 horsepower. I think he's going to have some problems with this mud. Light him up, Harry. And here he goes, and he's staying up on top. A good run by the Mud Devil. He makes it all the way through. The Mud Devil in the tractor tire class gets all the way through again. And again, we have a broken safety strap. Another look at it. Front wheels sink down, Margot, but then he kind of recovers.
That's a rut in the track that everybody's got to deal with because they get such a launch there, it really digs in. But once the Mud Devil gets planed up, it's a smooth sailing from there.
3.12 second clocking. That's second fastest, second to Mud Rats for the Mud Devil. 3.12, he is in second place. On the back of this machine is lettered, I'm bad, you know it, and I'm here to show it. This guy is cocky. Len Wisniewski of New Jersey. He's driving Spitfire. He drives 52 weeks a year. This is an all-aluminum 87 Jeep funny car, an all-aluminum chain drive, not a differential, but a chain drive with a 512 cubic inch Chevy. It is 3/4 aluminum. Just a few parts in this that are not aluminum. Weighs almost 3 tons, 5,800 pounds, puts out over 800 horsepower, and valued at over $80,000.
A lot of that weight attributed to those 2-ton military drive axles he's utilizing on this truck.
Spitfire, 87 Jeep funny car. And I don't think that strap was hooked up on there, Marco. It didn't look like to me.
They must be trusting these cars not to go into the stadium, and they're just using that to pull them out.
Well, I guess you're right, and he makes it through and bounces almost into the tunnel. So the Spitfire, Len Wisniewski, goes all the way through with no problem. 512 cubic inch aluminum Chevy engine. Let's take another look at it. All 4 wheels spinning. He sets down on the suspension, then comes out of it.
Pulled a little wheelie there. That's something new.
I can't figure out why they are not hooking, bothering to hook that up, the safety strap up, because it is only about 10 feet long at the back. A 2.57 clocking, and we have a new record. The Spitfire beats the Mud Rat by 2/100ths of a second, and the Spitfire is on his way to the Champagne Glory and Gold with a 2.57 clocking. We'll be back to more action from the Richmond Coliseum right after these messages. Larry Huffman and Margot King calling the action from the sold-out Richmond Coliseum. They turned away over 1,000 people here tonight. One of the favorites in the tractor tire class, Preston Ward, Mile to Wild. Tell us about the truck.
That's a 1987 Ford Ranger pickup. And it has a Ford motor in it, brand new. Just put it in Friday. And this is Saturday. We're going to run tonight.
How much horsepower?
We think we got about 900 now this one.
How will you do against the Chevys?
Well, they're tough, but we're going to get them tonight. We've been working on it. I think we got it hooked up for tonight.
You notice he took his hands off the steering wheel. That's when that safety strap is getting hooked up. Just proves to the guy with the safety strap that he's not going to throw that baby into reverse and make him a pancake.
Or take off straight ahead and make him an unwilling participant in the race. Mile to Wild, an ice blue 87 Ford Ranger limited edition pickup. Big block Ford engine, 700 horsepower. On the line, ready to go. The mud getting deeper and thicker and more difficult to get through. Here he goes. He's got to beat a 2.57 clocking. Comes up on the line. And that strap is hanging, dangling on the back. It's not hooked up. We're trying to find out why. Here he goes. Getting ready. Over 44-inch high tires, hence the name tractor tires. And here he goes, and the rooster tail spewing up from all four wheels up in the air. And he is rocking and rolling and making it all the way through. From Mile to Wild, he's got a good run. Let's check the time. Again, let's take another look at it. The rear wheels hook up, driving the front wheels down, the front end down, and now he comes back up again, Margot.
We saw him driving his son Jeep earlier in a very successful run. This run's so good, his truck even stays clean.
Not only is it good, it is the best run of the night, a 2.41 second clocking from Mile to Wild. The right combination of vehicle weight, driver experience, and power. We got a new record, 2.41 seconds. This is, again, one of the most bizarre vehicles. It's called Tonka Toy. It's an ex-Army truck from 1952. It's a 1952 GMC with a big 427 Chevy engine modified to 460. He's running nitrous oxide. You might wonder why nitrous oxide. It basically gives the engine more atmosphere to burn, to explode. He's putting out over 800 horsepower, but it weighs 7,500 pounds. Valued at over $20,000.
He started out by hauling vehicles to the track for other people. Just couldn't stand it anymore. He had to start it himself.
It's Harry White. We saw him earlier. He's out of Pocomoke, Maryland. 42 years old and a bizarre Tonka Toy. It's 10 feet tall. It's a real tall machine, an old Army vehicle you might have worked on if you were in the Army back in the 50s. Tonka Toy. Harry White, Pocomoke, Maryland.
Relatively a novice to this sport, only been running for 2 years.
A lot of power, though. 427, bored out to 460 cubic inches, running nitrous oxide. Gets up on the line. He's ready to go. Here he goes. Gets a little sideways. That's going to cost him some time, but comes through without any problem at all. Throws mud up about 30, 40 feet in the air. So the Tonka Toy, again, makes it through. And there's some question earlier as to whether the tractor-tired machines would be fast, would be able to get through. Here he goes. Margot, call the action.
Gets a pretty good start, but a little sideways at the gate. I don't know how that will affect his time, but it's bound to. Whenever you don't go in a straight line, you've got to make up that time somewhere.
It affected it to be the slowest time of the night, a 3.46 clocking for this tractor-tired class. This is the Mud Buggy. It's Steve Plunkett out of Fulcroft, Pennsylvania. It's a custom buggy with a 500 cubic inch Chevy running on nitrous oxide and gasoline. It weighs 3,600 pounds. It's valued at over $20,000. And it started out as an 86 Blazer coupled to a sandrail buggy chassis. He says it's quick when it connects. Let's see what he can do. He again gets sideways. And the front wheel's going extremely slow. The rear wheel's pounding out the mud. He makes it all the way through. Stephen Plunkett, the Mud Buggy, gets through. But let's see what the clocking is. Let's take another look at it in slow motion. Here it is.
Not trying to make any excuses for the last truck to run in the meat, but you really bear the brunt of having to dip into other people's ruts, and I think he took the worst of it for that.
He also took the worst time, 5.21 seconds for Steve Plunkett of Fulcroft, Pennsylvania. He told me earlier, he said, I will be either first or second, but he had some problems. I don't know if he knew he was going to run last, and that could be one of the reasons he's having problems, because it is getting extremely deep out there. The tractor tire class, Mile to Wild, takes the victory with a 2.41 second clocking. Spitfire right behind him, 2.57 seconds. And third was the Mud Rat with 2.59. Mighty close. We'll be back with more exciting action from the Richmond Coliseum right after these messages. Welcome back to the sold-out Richmond Coliseum and the U.S. Hot Rod Association Mud Bog Drag Racing Spectacular and Battle of the Monster Trucks. I'm Larry Huffman along with Margot King calling the action for you. All right, an extra added attraction and no extra cost. This is the Virginia Beach Beast. Is going to come blasting over that car and into the mud and is going to go flying through that mud in about 10 seconds. Get ready. The Virginia Beach Beach. Here he comes, back in the back. A World War II Army tank with a Chevy body welded to the top. Watch out. He is going to launch. Here he comes. He's going to launch himself over the car into the mud. Watch this. Into the top, into the air. And 18-ton slams into the mud, and he makes it through all the way. And the crowd going crazy. It rips off the finish line of pennant, and he goes through, and the crowd is cheering him on. The Virginia Beach Beast of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Whoa, you don't say that very fast. Look at the little kid is just absolutely stunned. And now he'll go out and spend the rest of the night at a 25-cent car wash washing that down.
And they've spent all day long waxing it.
Look at it again. He gets completely airborne. You don't see this very often, folks. And slams, and we got a 5 on the Richter scale when he hit the ground.
Oh, what an impact that must be. Not a lot of suspension in those.
No, not much at all. And like you pointed out, no steering wheel either. You just alter the speed of the treads. That's how you turn.
This is a good shot of that front drive gear.
He comes back up and stops on the top of the crushed cars, and the crowd is yelling their pleasure about that one. Virginia Beach Beast.
That's Mike Krantz, the driver.
He says it is the dominating monster truck of the 80s, and a lot of people will not argue with him. So Bigfoot defends his crown in front of a sold-out crowd here at the Richmond Coliseum. Mild to Wild and Bud Light Special round out the winners tonight. Margot King, any surprises?
The only surprise I can see is that there's any water left in this mud bog. They start out with 20,000 gallons, and I think there's about 10 left.
As long as there isn't Huffman and King into it. So we are on to the next U.S. Hot Rod Association Battle of the Monster Trucks and Mud Bog Drag Racing Spectacular. For Margot King, I'm Larry Huffman. We hope you enjoyed the show.